Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to Kithaidan Sound. And wait, you didn't like the video title? Oh, okay, maybe it was too clickbaity. But listen, I needed to do it because I feel that the tips I'm gonna give you are gonna be really helpful, and I haven't seen really other videos that show the same type of stuff. So, um, this is the example that we're gonna use. I just made it for the purpose of this video exclusively. Let's listen to it. All right. So if you want to learn how to make that stuff completely from scratch, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bells because I will make a tutorial on that. But today we're going to do 5 tips on mixing. Okay. The first tip is going to be leveling, because so many, especially newer producers, they get so caught up on EQ, compression, all those different range of effects. But the most important point of mixing is leveling. Okay? Get that right and the rest is going to be way easier. So let's listen to this without any EQ. All right, so I took out all the EQ, even from the master, and let's listen how it sounds. So yeah, as you can hear, it doesn't sound maybe as good as before. It sounds a little muddier, a little dirtier, but overall, it still sounds like a decent mix. Why? Because the levels are right. Now, if I fuck up one level, definitely it's gonna sound bad. It's way worse if you do it like that. Also, sorry, the reverb. But yeah, make sure to first of all get your levels right. So that's the first tip. Let's go to the second one once I reactivate all this. Okay, the second tip of the video is going to be having a good master. Now, granted, I'm not going to teach you how to make a full master in just one, like this video. I will make another video where I will teach you how to master, but it's not the purpose of this particular video. But I will teach you what I think are the most important notions of the master. And I think that's definitely the limiter. Now, personally, I use the Ozone limiter, Ozone 8, and it's called Maximizer. But you can use Ableton's limiter, FL Studio, just whatever you want. As long as you learn how it works, it's fine. Now, most limiters have two main things, and that is the release and the threshold. Now, in this limiter, it's called character instead of release, but it's the same thing. Now, what the release does, it's gonna change the speed of the compression. Okay, so if you turn it down, the sound is gonna get a little more distorted, if you will. And if you turn it up, you're gonna be able to hear more longer fluctuations in volume. So every time you apply a very hard limiter on a song, every time, you can't avoid it. It's gonna create some things that you don't want. Okay, it's gonna either create distortion or other artifacts. That's just how it is. So when you master, you have to minimize the effect of those in order to make the song sound the loudest it can sound. Because no matter what other producer gurus tell you, a good song, a commercial song, is gonna be pretty loud. So just make it loud. So for example, in a rhythm dubstep track, maybe you would want to go lower because you're not worried about getting more distortion, right? But if you're making something more chill, then maybe you want to go higher up in the release. That's just up to your ear, up to the song. It's just up to many things. And then the threshold it's very easy. Like, the threshold is just how much you're pushing the song into the limiter. So the louder you want your song, the more, like, the lower it has to be the threshold, right? So just keep moving the threshold down until your song sounds loud enough. That's it. Okay. My third tip is ear fatigue. Now, I'm sure you know how this works. Have you ever been making a song and maybe it's like 2 a.m. in the morning and you're just blasting it? You're like, oh my God, this is fucking awesome. This is great. And then you go to sleep. You wake up the next morning, you listen to it, and you're like, bro, what the fuck is this? What was I thinking about? Now, we've all been there, okay? For sure, I've been there many times, and I'm sure everyone has. And this is just because your ear gets used to listening to certain frequencies. So when you hear your song over and over and over again while you're producing, it doesn't matter how it sounds objectively, your ear is going to adapt and it's not going to be able to judge it objectively. So there are very simple ways you can minimize it. It's just the good old advice. Take 10 minutes of rest every hour, stuff like that. In those 10 minutes, you can listen to other songs from other people, so you can kind of reset your ear. Or just, again, go to sleep and wake up the next morning and listen to it. That never fails. Like, if you wake up and you put your headphones and you think it sounds good, it probably sounds decent, okay? But most of the time you're gonna listen to it and you're gonna be like, what the fuck? So yeah, those are tips for ear fatigue. Now, another tip that's really important for ear fatigue is this fourth tip, which is using a reference track. Now, if your ear is getting used to your track and getting subjective about it, the best thing you can do is bring another track, a different track from a different person that has similar elements to your song. For example, this I've used for this mix, Virtual Riot, We're Not Alone VIP. Now, this song has a bass, chords, arpeggio. It has more or less the same elements as mine. So I've used it to kind of use it as reference again. And I advise you to do this, okay? You play both songs back to back or at the same time and you mute one or another, and you're gonna just compare and think, is my song comparable? Is my sub comparable to this? Are my chords comparable to this? Is my kick comparable to this? You don't have to make it exactly the same, but you have to make it kind of comparable. And also choose a reference track that is actually objectively awesome. So like if you pick Skrillex, Zomboy, Virtual Riot, I don't know, Sultan. If you pick good producers, you're never gonna go wrong, okay? And one of the tips that I am gonna give you to use reference tracks is using a pre-master. Now, it might seem a little stupid, and you might think like, what the fuck is a pre-master even? Well, the pre-master, so my master is empty. It has utility here, but it's muted, so it's basically empty. So what the pre-master does is I put all my master effects there. And then what I do is I take all my sounds, all my tracks, and I run them either through a sidechain or whatever, but then that is going to go eventually to the pre-master instead of the master, okay? And then from the pre-master, it's going to go to the master. Why do I do this? Because now I can place my reference track here. And it's not going to run through any of the effects of the pre-master. I'm going to run it directly through the master. So now I'm comparing apples to apples. Okay, I'm comparing my song through the master, through every effect. I'm comparing it to Virtual Riot song without any additional effects from my part. So that's a way you can do it. I recommend you. So my last tip is having too many effects or too drastic of an effect. I've seen this a lot, and honestly, I've done this a lot as well. When you're learning, you're not really able to hear the little slight subtle sounds that you have to change in order to make it sound a little better. So most people end up making very drastic changes. So for example, people will do things like that and that, and you know, this type of like 10 decibel shapes. And of course, sometimes if you do it like really with a sense of what you're doing, it could work on certain sounds, but most of the time it doesn't. Okay, most of the time the changes you have to make are very minimalistic. Now we're gonna see my changes on this on the chorus of the track. This is my EQ. It's just 3 decibels up, like 1 decibel down, 3 up. That's it. You don't need to make it super huge. Just make slight changes in the EQ. Slight changes. I mean, as long as you know what you're doing, as long as you know the purpose, what you're trying to accomplish with an effect, you're gonna be fine. So yeah, thank you for watching, guys. Those were my 5 tips. If you like them, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And if you want to get to that point where you can actually hear those subtle changes in sound, those little things, if you want to learn how to make a proper mix, a proper master, proper sound design, and on top of all, if you want to create a good, solid song that you will like, that people will actually enjoy listening to, make sure to check out my coaching service. The link is in the description. And there I will teach you how to get from any point. I don't care where you are. It doesn't matter if you are a complete beginner, a little novice, if you know kind of what you're doing. From whatever point you are, I can take you to create professional sounding songs. So yeah, if you're interested, make sure to check it out down in the description below. And yeah, guys, see you. Yeah.